I will be talking about the war on terrorism in the Middle East. As I speak right now, the largest refugee crisis since World War II is happening in Syria, with more than 12 million people getting displaced. This has everything to do with all of us because of terrorist attacks, of course, being about Paris, the capital of Los Angeles. This affects me as well, and I know a lot about this topic because I could be personally affected by it, as well as the fact that I'm a member of society and I should be informed of this stuff. The war in the Middle East should not be solved with violence, but instead by helping out their economy in the region by strengthening it. First, I'll be talking about what the war on terrorism is, what are the causes of it, and finally, what solutions we can do. So first, what is the war on terrorism? Or what's going on there? It's been a war zone in that area since World War II for about 70 years now. The wars are happening all over the region. Afghanistan in the beginning, Yemen, Syria, Iran, Iraq, Egypt, all over the regions wars are happening. It's due to some political instability in the region, and U.S. has done minimal involvement in the region due to the fact that the U.S. there are tensions in the region between different countries like U.S. and Russia over interest in the region, as well as the fact that there's not a lot of support for it ever since the Iraq war thing. And yeah. Casualties in the region have reached almost 250,000 according to IamSyria.org, last access November 23rd, 2015. So then yeah, what caused the war in Syria? Well, I'm going to talk what's causing the things in the Middle East, to be more exact. In Syria, the thing is caused by a civil war in the region between three opposing factions. First is the Syrian government, then there's the Syrian rebellion, which doesn't really like the oppression of the government, and finally the third force that came in was ISIS or ISIL, the terrorist group. And they've been mostly the wars in the region. In other regions, wars are happening like Yemen, etc. The causes are because it's a weak government in the region, first. Secondly, the people are not happy. There's civil unrest in the region, which is why the rebels are rebelling. And finally, there's that hatred that the Middle East have against the West, which you all probably know. The causes of that are probably because of our intervention in the region over things such as oil, for example. The U.S. has been involved in the Middle East for only their own interest in the oil, because they need gasoline driver cars, you know. And that has sparked a lot of tension in the Middle East. To add on that is also the Israel and Palestinian crisis in the region. Since Palestinians have been oppressed indirectly by the United States or according to the Middle Easterners like that, that is also another cause of hatred in the region. So finally, what are the solutions to the problem in the Middle East? The best solution, well, the U.S. has tried many solutions. Most of them war related, like sending troops or bombing. But those could have negative effects as well, because if we kill an innocent civilian, the family of that civilian will start to hate the U.S. because the U.S. indirectly killed the family member, you know. And there's also the other stuff like sending troops, which has been kind of unpopular due to the amount of death tolls we've been having in the region. So what should we do? We should, of course, help the economy grow. With a better economy in the region, the government in that region strengthens, first. The second, the people in the region become a lot more at rest, happy, you know. And finally, there won't be as much need of a war or control or loss of power in that region. And to wrap things up, the war in the Middle East should not be solved with guns or violence, but with the help of their economy and strengthening it, like we did in Japan in World War II. First, I talked about what the war in Syria was, what caused it, and finally what solutions were available. And to wrap things up, think about it like this. If anything major would happen in the Middle East, it would be no surprise if any of us were drafted. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be drafted and die in the Middle East.